You're enjoying Racing World. It's brought to you by Perspective Group. It's your global motorsport podcast show brought to you in conjunction with Race Control Magazine.
Welcome to the special edition of Racing World. This came about because of, well, we'll call it Penske Gate, the push-to-pass issue that reared its ugly head this week. Boy, oh boy, IndyCar has never been in this position before. This one is a real game changer in many ways. So the bottom line fact is that the Josef Newgarden car was disqualified from St. Petersburg, all points taken away, and a $25,000 fine. The Scott McLaughlin car, exactly the same thing. The Will Power car docked some points and also copped the fine, but he was the only one of the three drivers that actually never activated push to pass in what is now deemed the illegal period. So how did it all come about? And why did it take to Long Beach for it to be brought to the surface? It was largely brought about because of a timing issue that was happening in race control during the warm-up on Sunday morning at Long Beach. And then there was a series of events that happened there that actually uncovered the whole thing. Otherwise, it could have been let go for quite some time. Was it deliberate? Was it accidental? Only those people concerned will ever know, and it's not a place for us to point fingers or support or whatever. We can just give you the things that we obviously know and the things that we've learnt. But the push-to-pass button was activated by Josef Newgarden intentionally, which you'll hear him say shortly, but not for the purpose of cheating. And it was done as a muscle reflex, which drivers do by Scott McLaughlin. And that's a common thing to do because these drivers have so much mentally going on in their heads that these things are just nature and second nature, if you like. So there was a lot of variation on those ones, and Will, of course, never touched the button at all. This has also put a little bit of a cloud over Penske because they were pulled up for a NASCAR violation earlier this year with Joey Logano and the webbed glove thing that they were playing with there. So there's a little bit of a grey area there. I guess it comes down largely to depend on whether you're a fan of the team, not a fan of the team, fan of the driver, or not a fan of the driver, because you're going to take a side. That's the bottom line fact. The obvious thing is what really happened. Only some people will know that. You know, who knows? Scott McLaughlin issued this statement, which you can read here, which very much spells his part of the thing, and you have to believe the Kiwi on this. He's an honest sort of guy and very upfront, and you know, no malice intended there, and we wish him the very best for the rest of the season. Will Power came out with his statement, which you can see here, pretty much making sure that he kept his nose clean, if you like, in the whole situation. Both those drivers holding their hands up, getting that out on social media. Then I wondered what was happening with Newgarden, and finally this morning at 2 a.m. New Zealand time, Josef Newgarden held a press conference in Alabama, and I'm not going to muck around anymore. Let's just go straight to that and listen to the press conference, including some of my friends from NBC and the Indy Star that asked questions. No point in me asking these questions. They're there in person, much better response. So here's Josef Newgarden this morning in Alabama.
I didn't want to put out a statement or, you know, try and do an interview over the phone or something like that. I thought it was really important to get in front of everybody and have an opportunity to chat. You know, with regards to the St. Petersburg race ruling, I think at this point it's really important to look at the facts of what happened, and the facts are extremely clear. You know, there's no doubt that we were in breach of the rules at St. Petersburg. You know, I used push to pass at an unauthorized time twice on two different restarts. And there's really nothing else to it other than that those are the rules, and we did not adhere to them. I think it's, you know, for me, what's really important about that too is, you know, there's only one person sitting in the car. It's just me. And so that responsibility and the use of the push to pass in the correct manner falls completely on me. It is my responsibility to know the rules and the regulations at all points and to make sure that I get that right. And with that regard, you know, I failed my team miserably. It's like a complete failure from my side to get that right. You know, it's my job as the leader of the two car not make mistakes like that. You cannot make a mistake at this level in that situation. There's no room for it. There's no room for that type of mistake anywhere, or certainly not at the top level of motorsports. And I don't want to hide from that. It's, for me, it's an embarrassing situation to have to go through. To see what's transpired. It's demoralizing in a lot of ways. And, there's nothing that I can say that changes, the fact of what happened. I mean, it's pretty clear. So, that's why I say I think the facts are most important right now. I think that's what really matters. I also think the truth is important. And I think that there can be space for both of those things. So, if there's anything that I wanted to come say too, I want to deeply apologize to our fans, our partners, my teammates, the competitors that I race against, anybody that's in our community. I've worked my entire career to hold myself to an incredibly high standard. And, clearly I've fallen very short of that in this respect. And, once again, I mean, I can't overstate. It's a difficult thing to wrestle with. It's very, it's a very embarrassing process to go through. And, I hope we can find a way forward after this. I mean, that's really all you can do is try and find a way forward after the fact. So I just wanted to come here and state that. And, I appreciate everybody's time and let me speak.
We'll open it up for questions in person, and then also try to take some off of Zoom. We'll begin in person. Bill, I think Taylor, do you have another microphone on your side? But let everybody know. Bill, where you at, buddy? We'll start here with Nathan Brown in the front row. Nathan Brown from the Indianapolis Star. Then we'll go Bruce Martin from NBC and Forbes. Thanks, Nathan.
Hey, Joseph. Thanks for doing this morning. Your 3 pushes of push to pass on restarts at St. Pete, 3 seconds, 2.4, and 3.6 seconds on lap 72. Did you feel those instances in the car?
Oh, of course. Yes. No, I mean, I purposely was hitting the button. The tough part is the intent. And I don't think that, intent matters at this point. The facts are, when are you allowed to use push to pass? And the rules state that you're not allowed to use it until the alt-start finish line. And I didn't. So yeah, it's very easy to tell when you're using the button. I know when I push the button, it's not anything that I would try and hide behind. It's also very obvious when you're using the button. It comes up on my dash. There's onboard cameras. People see the telemetry updates. It's not something that you would hide from, and I'm not trying to hide from it. I know exactly when I push the button. So yeah, it's something you feel every single time. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't. It's a very obvious thing.
So then after the race, are you conscious in that moment in the days following St. Pete that you hit the button when it shouldn't have been working? And if so, did you do anything, talk to anyone about that feeling?
The tricky thing about this whole situation is I didn't know I did anything wrong until Monday after Long Beach. It's the first time I heard that I broke rules. And I knew if getting to this part was going to be difficult for me. You guys can call me every name in the book. You can call me incompetent, call me an idiot, call me an asshole, call me, stupid, whatever you want to call me. But I'm not a liar. And the story that I know, which is the truth, is almost too convenient to be believable. And so to answer your question, no, I didn't leave St. Pete thinking we pulled something over on somebody. I didn't know that we did something wrong until this week. And then I've had to wrestle with the fact that, how do you explain a situation to people? I know what happened. I know why it happened. And I don't think it's very believable, even when I try and tell the story back. I don't think any of us believe it'll be believable to somebody, but it's the truth. So no, just to answer your question, I didn't know I did something wrong in St. Pete. And maybe to elaborate on that, because there would be a follow-up, how did you know you didn't do something wrong? The key difference on the 2 car, which is important to understand, is that somehow, some way, we convinced ourselves that there was a rule change to restart specifically with overtake usage. And you say, well, how do you come up with this? This never happened before. The only place that this got introduced was with the thermal exhibition race. It's the only time in my time in IndyCar where we've actually had a legitimate legal change of the push to pass system, where it's going to be operable at a time other than, at the alt start finish line. It was going to be usable in qualifying too. There was a lot of discussion around it, and we somehow genuinely believed and convinced ourselves that at St. Pete, the rule was, now you can use it immediately on restarts. You don't have to wait till the alt start finish line. It's going to be available immediately. And I even wanted the team to remind me of this so that I didn't forget. I'm like, well, if I, whenever you get something new as a driver, you're always like, please remind me. It's easy for me to forget this stuff with everything going on inside the car. And I specifically asked for that too. We all knew about that. And so what's the craziest part of the story is the software issue that no one knew about just perpetuated that belief even further. So then you go through St. Pete, you go through thermal where it's an actual change and everybody's using it. And then you go to Long Beach and it's still in the car. And the first time that any of us hear about this software issue or mistake is of warm-up. And the even crazier part of that is, even when you learn about the software issue that no one knew about and it was fixed, I still believed the procedural difference on restarts was in applied for Long Beach. I tried to do the exact same thing leading the race at Long Beach. I even pushed the button. I came over the radio. I said, hey, the overtake's not working correctly. I said it throughout the whole first lap because it wasn't working right. I mean, I don't know how or why in your right mind you would do that. Why would I, did I try and come up with a conspiracy and then cover it's not. The truth is, somehow we got that mixed up and it somehow got entangled with the mistake, and it's created some ridiculously unbelievable storyline now. But the facts of the matter are, I used it illegally. I wasn't allowed to, and I can't change that. Whatever I say going forward will not change those facts. And, it kills me that it doesn't. I wish I could go back in time and somehow, reverse all this, but I can't. And, I thought about this a lot. I was like, I don't want to put out a statement. Two things matter to me: accountability, and we have to be held accountable for any sort of mistake, whether you meant to do it or not. You got to be held accountable. And the truth matters to me. And today I want to be held accountable for what I did and the actions I took. And I want to tell people the truth. And those are the two things that I wanted to achieve this morning. So, if I do that, I can leave here and I can feel good about anything going forward.
My last question, and I'll cede the floor. Can you kind of paint the picture for us how you found out about what transpired, that it was against the rules this week? And just maybe take us through your mental process and how you've dealt with this. I know it's been an emotional couple of days for the whole team, for Roger, for Tim, for your other two teammates, and I'm sure the folks on your car as well.
Yeah, it's been a weird week, a very weird week. I learned about this on Monday. I stayed in California with my family. We were there till Wednesday. I had a conversation with a couple different people on Monday, which was the first time that I was able to put two and two together, that one, the software issue, was a problem that we didn't know about. And that also we were incorrect. We didn't have the procedure correct on what was allowed and not allowed now on restarts. And it's crazy how this works. When you do something wrong and you didn't know you did something wrong, it doesn't hit you immediately. You get told that and you think, oh, wow, that's crazy to hear that this is what's happening. And then you move to Tuesday and it starts to really hit you that you're like, oh, this is a big problem now. This is a really big problem. And then it comes out on Wednesday and, there's a whole different set of emotions that come into play with that, because it's a true reality and it's something you can't control. None of us can control this. None of us can change it. And, it's all, I don't know how to describe it other than that. I've had to, I've looked at everything. I don't know how you can't, I know I know what's been said. I know how people feel, and you just have to. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You just have to live with it.
Bruce?
Joseph, how have you worked through this mentally and emotionally to be able to deal with just the devastation that comes with this announcement?
Well, I feel better now. I did think about this. I didn't have anything prepared today, and I didn't want to have it prepared. I didn't want to rehearse anything. Of course, I've thought about it. How could you not? I've been thinking about this nonstop for 48 hours. I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning. I couldn't fall back asleep. I was like, man, I got to be rested to go speak to these guys. I just wanted to, the truth is easy. It's so easy to just tell the truth. And I wanted to do that today. And I've left a little bit of room for this weekend. I've tried to study and do my normal deal. So I'm hoping I'm going to be ready to go.
And also, the month of May is supposed to be a very joyous month for you as the defending winner of the Indianapolis 500. In some ways, how do you keep this from affecting some of that joy that you were going to have returning to the Speedway?
Well, I'm still happy. I mean, look, I got the best job in the world, and I'm excited. I'm still excited. I'm excited for this weekend. It should be good.
Joey?
Obviously, this has created a ripple through the paddock. How do you earn the trust back of your competitors?
I don't know. I don't know how you do that. It's important to state, and I think it's the truth. I don't know that anybody is going to believe what I've told you here today, and that's okay. I mean, I think it's a crazy set of circumstances to try and just reason with. It's certainly not going to come from words. I mean, it's just going to take repetitive action. So that's all you can do is just repetitive action, and hopefully I can stand on that in the future. So however long it takes or how many years, if I'm given the time, I'll just try and earn it through action.
Well, there you go. That's part of the press conference. I think you get the general vibe from things there. Pretty emotional, Josef Newgarden. It'll be about getting the headspace right to get back in the car, which first practice is just a short time away, and we'll have a report on that again later in the day. The big thing there, of course, is that he came out and did it. You've got to give him credit for facing the media, and regardless of anything, he turned up and delivered his side of the story. So congratulations, I guess, in many ways to Josef for doing that. And I'm sure we probably haven't heard the last of the story. So what's it done to the championship? Kiwi Scott Dixon now leads the championship only by a couple of points from Colton Herta. And of course, Pato Award now comes out of St. Petersburg as a first-time winner in IndyCar. Probably not the way he liked to do it, but nevertheless, Pato now has a first place sitting by his name. So a few developments and ripple effects as a result of that. Great start to the season from Dixon. Need this form to continue now and consolidate these points, that's for sure. Great to see the Iceman back in there. Boy, oh boy, is he a class act. Anyway, that's the press conference from this morning. Felt it was worthwhile sharing with you all. We'll have more from Racing World during the week where we talk about the race at Alabama. Until then, have a great weekend. Thanks for watching Racing World.
You're enjoying Racing World. It's brought to you by Perspective Group. It's your global motorsport podcast show brought to you in conjunction with Race Control Magazine.